after much deliberation, we've decided that this is episode 20, Emotions, Part 3.
Yes.
Okay.
Thank you. We're going to talk about attachment theory. We're going to go deeper into boundaries and bonding. We're going to talk about what's IQ versus EQ. We're going to talk about discipline. We're going to talk about a whole bunch of stuff.
Yeah.
It's going to be a good episode.
Yeah.
It is a continuation of our last episode, which is 19.
Right.
We are still, if you're following us in the book, reference Fire Your Doctor. By the way, hardbacks are now available.
And it keeps trying to fall off the shelf and hit me. Oh,
No.
it's zooming in. No. The camera. The camera is like the third character in this like terrible like triangle. No, I don't want attention. It's the
Now
camera
that we
is
got
trying
rid
to
of
focus in on me.
now that we got rid of Roy the rooster,
I know, now the camera.
now the camera is our nemesis.
Oh, as I'm like
He
trying to
got
stay
very
still. It's like a
so
T-Rex.
here it's like I'm gonna point upward behind my head if you're listening.
Very carefully watch
Right
out.
there. So there's two things. There's two Easter eggs on this show, which I talked about in the. You'll get the email. Will come out tomorrow. But this right behind us, right here,
It's really glary.
it's very glary. Maybe bring it forward.
Well,
it's
kinda
taped on.
but like
This is the artist
still glary.
rendition from Sophia Lockwood, our daughter, who's 6, of the Fire Your Doctor book. So that's actually what's behind us, and it's been behind us the whole time. I laminated it so you can see it, but now it's a little glary.
yes.
And then up here, I'm not going to raise my hand too hard, like this way. There on the top shelf is the new hardback version
of Fire Your Doctor.
of Fire Your Doctor, which you can get on Amazon.
Now with 50% less typos.
Ding ding.
There's still typos, but there's less.
There's way less.
Yeah.
And it's actually beautiful.
It is. It's well done. Like,
When we
the binding and everything.
and
It's very high quality.
little fun fact, that particular one was the author's copy. It doesn't have the label on it, but it is I put in here
Yeah.
version 1, meaning this is the first one ever produced.
Ooh.
Ever. Here, hold it up so they can see it.
Okay. Well, I want to
Without
look at it. I don't want.
With flagging the camera.
You guys are on your own. I'm gonna read
Yes.
this myself. But it's
Oh,
that's an
wow.
interesting chapter. Adrenals,
chapter 11.
rest, sex, and emotion and hormones.
Yes. I love it. No, it's something to hold.
Yeah.
5.5 years it took us, and it's something to hold it in your hand finally. It's really wonderful.
Yeah. It's really well made. Like I like the cover material.
Spent
It's
a
kind
lot.
of a soft touch.
Spent a long time designing
overly
it,
glossy.
working it. Actually, shout out to Dissect Designs, our friend over there. He is so awesome.
Yeah, he's UK, isn't he?
I think I put a shout out for him over here.
Okay.
Yeah, cover design.
Fun.
Well, Michelle Schmidt did the picture for us. She's awesome. And then Dissect Designs did the awesome cover. And we went back so many times. He's a blessing in our lives. He did a great job.
All right.
Anyway,
All right.
that's enough about the book. We're going to talk about attachment theory. We're going to get back into it. Again, Rich, why don't you give them an overview of what is attachment theory? There's a book that we really like called Attached. It's written
Right.
by researchers. It's not dry. It's not boring. It's an easy read. We recommended it to so many people. It gives great case studies.
Yeah.
Amir Levine and Rachel Heller
Yep.
are PhDs in, I believe, psychology. And they wrote the book a while ago. It's been around a while, at least 10 years more plus.
I would say for the book, you could get the Audible, you could speed read it. For me, I just really, and I don't even know if I read the entire book, just make yourself familiar with the concepts. For me, the best thing to do was just make myself aware and fluent in the types of attachment styles.
Yeah.
So make yourself fluent in the types of attachment styles and then understand how that's going to interact. And I would say that would be the best way. So attachment styles would be secure attachment. A secure attachment style person is somebody that grew up in a very stable home with both parents loved each other. Both parents are most likely going to still be together. They had stable friendships, loving family, good community support, positive school experiences. These people are in the modern era becoming kind of rare. Although in the book they say that probably about 30%.
No, I think they said the most people were secure in the book.
Are they?
Yes, but again, this book was written about 20 years ago. So
Okay, there you go.
it could be just
It's going
the
to
sign
change
of the times, right?
So, but what I now
but more than
No, I think-
anything, more than anything with the secure.
we're trying to. Well, I'm just trying to get through these.
Okay.
Okay, so that's a secure attachment. Unless you've been married for 20 years and you're just amazingly, incredibly happy and everything's working in your life, you're probably not secure. Anyway, the next is going to be avoidant. The avoidant attachment style is the person that is constantly just not sure about the relationship. At first, they might be kind of all in, but then as you try to get close to that person starts to pull away. So in response to emotional intimacy, they might be in for a little while because they want closeness and ultimately they need human connection, but they're going to find excuses or ways to, in another way, pull back. They could do this by keeping the relationship open and having maybe multiple partners, or just kind of this, or a secret girlfriend that you don't know about, or just anything to kind of keep you not quite sure. So this is the avoidant. The classic player kind of mentality would be an avoidant, or the feminine side of that might be, I'm just confused. I'm just confused right now. I just don't know how I feel. One day I like you, and then the next day I just don't know. So that's the avoidant style. The third style is the anxious. The anxious attachment style is coming from just a deep place of emotional need. They just really, I want somebody to be close with me. I want somebody to spend my life with me. I'm just looking for that right special person. And I just want that. And I crave that affection more than anything. So failure modes for the anxious would be clingy, emotionally needy, kind of getting so emotionally needy that you're kind of sabotaging the relationship by smothering the other person. Maybe you're really jealous and you're just like, well, where were you today? I was at work. And kind of getting into that very anxious place that kind of stifles and undermines the relationship long term. The avoidant kind of failure mode is going to be just basically blowing up the relationship because it got difficult, or this person just wanted, they just wanted closeness. They wanted intimacy, and you were just like, oh, gross, get it away from me. And you didn't want to really do the work. And so then you're constantly kind of lonely, I'm just looking for that mythical kind of relationship that doesn't really work, where you kind of get your needs met and then, we'll see. Where you're not really being emotionally vulnerable, but you want your needs met.
Yeah.
And then the secure doesn't really have a failure mode because it's a healthy way of interacting.
They're able to regulate. So if a person needs space, they're able to give it. If a person needs closeness, they're able to ask for it if they need it. They're just much more balanced. They're much more in an equilibrium.
And so these three attachment styles are somewhat fluid, meaning that a well-regulated, well-loved anxious attachment style can become secure over time in a healthy relationship. A secure attachment style, in the face of, say, something extreme like infidelity or betrayal or things like that, can be pushed towards becoming a little bit anxious. An avoidant, if exposed to secure attachment and having a desire to better themselves, an avoidant can learn to be and become over time more secure, able to give love, able to receive love, able to be close, able to have distance.
Yeah.
So
another resource,
somewhat fluid.
Yeah, another resource is Dr. Stan Tatkin is another really good resource. Again, you can look up these, you can look up these names and so many podcasts that they've done and books that they've written. Very, very helpful for me and for Rich. And it really started to highlight some of the ways that we were raised and things that we liked about how our parents raised us, things that we didn't want to bring forward into our marriage, things we wanted to seek help counseling, Christian counseling,
how to
regular
raise
counseling,
children.
how to
Yeah.
raise children. We just had this desire to do better. I mean, to just be
Right.
more integrated, try
So-
to reach for that secure.
Let's go back. Let's rewind a little bit. You were saying that, oh no, most of the population's secure. Number one, I would challenge that. The divorce rate and also the lack of societally agreed upon boundaries of relationships and dating are increasing the number of anxious, or as we jokingly call them, anxii, for a plural of anxiouses. I don't know. So number one, societal factors and lack of boundaries, meaning it's like, what is a relationship? When are we even having sex? What does it mean to be exclusive? Like, there's societally in America right now, there's nothing that's universally agreed on. It's like, well, we just been dating for 3 months. I just assumed that you weren't sleeping with 5 other people. And it's like, well, that's an assumption. So as we move into that, we're kind of in this breeding ground for anxious and avoidant. And then the other thing is, even if there is still a large cohort of a population that is a secure attachment style, those secure attachment styles are basically getting married and just being fairly happy and secure in that relationship. And so they're not somebody that you would interact with in the dating market. And so as we age, the dating pool will begin to get concentrated with the more, unfortunately, a lot of times the more extreme cases of anxious and avoidant.
Yes. Just to add a nuance to that I wasn't saying that I believed that was still true, but I believe
No, that's fine.
that
I'm
is
not-
what he was saying in the book. So I didn't want to misquote the book.
Well,
but
the exact
but
proportion
did
doesn't
say,
matter.
Yeah, but he did say that typically people who are secure and come from those secure upbringings tend to get married and stay married. And so they
Right.
don't make up the majority of the dating pool. So
Yes.
there's a disproportionate amount of
An
anxious
overrepresentation.
and avoidant within the dating pool.
Yeah, and especially as you age. I mean, the secure attachments, they got married to their college sweetheart, and they've been happily off the market for the last 25 years. Mm-hmm. They are not 47 years old at a singles mixer.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
So
yeah.
yes. So what else do we want to say about that? The attachment, understanding that. Yeah.
okay. The biggest thing to understand with attachment theory is, number one, you need to know where you are. If you are an anxious, you are going to be best served. And by best served, I mean, please. If you are anxious and single, do not date avoidance. Figure out how to recognize avoidant dating behavior and just be done with it.
As quick as possible.
As quick as possible. You will, oh, well, it's okay. This guy's different. And it's like all of your friends know that it's not different. And the reason that they know that it's not different is because you picked him. And so I would say that if you realize that, hey, listen, I'm an anxious, you can actually form a very, like a healthy, stable, nurturing relationship with another anxious, because anxious actually creates a stable pattern. You will need to work through together with your husband or wife. You will need to work through helping each other regulate these like kind of anxious outbursts and these anxious emotions in a way that's not destructive to the relationship and the other person. And so you'll need to develop a language around that to just like, I'm just feeling really anxious right now. And like that needs to be okay in your relationship. You need to understand that this is a thing, that this is something like, I need a little reassurance, and you need to be able to ask for that in your relationship, and you need to be able to give it.
Yeah. I would 100% agree. I want to give this nuanced response. Rich, you mentioned this in the last episode, and I think this is so worth repeating. When you are an anxious person and you say go on a date with somebody who has an avoidant subtype of attachment, you are going to feel very attracted to them. You are going to, your heart, it's going to feel a little dangerous. It's going to feel a little fun. You will mistake that feeling for love.
And more specifically, you will
Lust.
feel it as attraction.
Yes. You will feel like, wow, I really like this person. Wow, this is
They're
really
just
exciting.
great.
This is great.
They're just great. I can't stop
That
thinking about them.
should be your first sign that you need to check in about that. It takes some time to build on something that's unfamiliar. I don't know how to say that. Help me say it a different way.
Your picker's broken. And when we're talking about this concept of repentance, it doesn't mean like you feel shame about it, but repentance literally means to turn a different direction. So if you are 40 and single and you do not want to be 50 and sad and single, you need to change directions. If you're 20 and feeling this, if you're 30, the sooner that you feel this, even if you're 65 or 70 years old and you're just like, you know what, I don't want to be alone. I want to find somebody. The sooner that you realize this about yourself, you are an anxious, and you need to find somebody that is going to mesh well with your actual nervous system.
100%. I would say higher probability of finding a secure older in your age would be possibly marrying a widow or a widow.
Yes.
But
yes,
check it out. It still could not be that. So arm yourself with the tools of understanding who you're dealing with and
how to
who
recognize
you
them.
are.
And just kind of, make a little mental note card of this. It's just like, aha, here it is.
If you're reading and learning about these different attachment styles and you figure out, wow, I think I'm an avoidant dismissive, and you feel in your heart you don't want to be that way, you're going to need to do some work on that. Don't involve somebody else in your
Number
life.
one, don't involve somebody else. Number two, I would say just get good at even building friendships. And then you would, honestly, there's a type, and I've met them before, of somebody that they're an avoidant, but they don't have malicious intent. And at that point, I would say that you are going to owe it to yourself to try and find somebody that's secure. And what that means is it's going to be more work, but ultimately that person that has that secure attachment style, they're going to have a certain level of immunity to catching the feels.
The push-pull game. And
feeling like emotionally hurt by you and this and that. And it's like, well, I just want to go fishing for 3 days. I'm out of here. And the secure is like, oh, honey, I love you. That sounds great. Just text me when you get there so I know you didn't crash. The end. So if you realize I'm an avoidant, you can be a considerate and ethical avoidant, as in I'm not going to be unfaithful to my husband or wife. So I'll be physically and emotionally faithful to them. And you can also be ethical in picking somebody that's okay with you having more of your own space. Because there's a way that it would feel good in the short term to have an anxious, because the anxious, like, please don't leave me.
And we'll do anything
we'll
for
do
you.
kind of anything in the short term, but give it 6 months, give it 5 years, you're going to feel extremely smothered by this.
Yeah.
So it's like long term, you owe it to yourself and you owe it to that other person to just pick somebody that's like, okay, if you need a little bit of space.
I think you would also feel that you were tricked in some way on both sides. You're thinking you're getting somebody who's exciting and fun, who loves you, because avoidants get really enamored at first with the relationship, and then they start doing this pullback mechanism, and you're like, well, why don't you love me the way that you used to, right? And then the avoidant feels like they can't do anything right, because everything that they have the capacity to give feels like a burden, and it feels like it's never enough.
Yeah.
So nobody's winning in this. So if you are not married, and I would include, if you feel like you're with somebody who you're engaged to, I would break off a engagement.
If you realize
this is who you're with. We're Christians, so we believe once you're married, you got to work it out unless there's some major infidelity, abuse, something going on. Make it easier on your life. I don't know who needs to hear this today.
The Bible has a verse and it says, do not be unequally yoked.
Yes.
And it's kind of like we're both like, it could be oxen, but I'd like to say we're both like beautiful, majestic horses, and we are yoked in this kind of chariot together. And it's like if you have somebody that's just like not on that same page as far as the level of intimacy, independence, values, etc., that you are going to find yourself unequally yoked. And basically, if you yoke yourself to an avoidant, that person's going to be like, oh, well, the mares in the other hill look great. And you guys are kind of connected. And you're just like, no, we agreed. We're going to the meadow. And it's just like, I'm going to go chase other horses later. And now you're getting dragged through the mud.
Yes.
And we'll see people do this.
End it before you get into marriage. You will find somebody else. Go get healthy. Get your picker right.
Yeah.
Do the work.
Yep.
Pray. Be with God. Get counseling.
Yep.
Do whatever you need to do. Save yourself a divorce. It's much cheaper and less heartache and less issues to end an engagement than it is to end marriages, right? If you are an anxious and you're dating somebody, leave.
Well,
leave,
dating someone and you realize,
and they're not going to change. They're an avoidant. They're an avoidant. They refuse to acknowledge any of that.
Yeah.
You're never going to change them if they're not willing to change.
What I would say, and the reason that we're coming down so hard on this is we didn't actually talk about this before, but as an anxious, you are going to go to the moon coping, like emotionally coping and carrying the weight of a relationship just to like try and make it work. Oh, well, yeah, he just has a hard time expressing himself. And I was like, I think he's expressing himself real great at the club with somebody else right now.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
And the problem is that somebody like that, they are going to amplify your anxious behavior. And so it's like every once in a while you'll see these like crazy stories about this guy's like crazy ex-girlfriend that drove across like 10 states and was like literally relieving herself in bottles, and this whole thing to like stalk this man in his new life. And, it turns out that he'd been kind of like stringing her along, and then this and that and the other thing. And so it's like that would be an example of an anxious avoidant pattern going to the point of like full meltdown, where it's just like, I'll find you. And
okay, although they make for great
soap operas,
rock albums,
oh yeah, no,
rock
Adele.
Ballads,
Adele with the
pop ballads,
yeah,
great.
Hello,
it's
me. You gotta have the crazy eyes when you say it.
Yes, great music has come out of this.
Hiding in your backyard. It's like you're gonna go to jail.
You do not want this to be your daily life. You do not want to raise children with these people. You do not want to stay in miserable marriages with these people. Mm-hmm. Do not do this. Do not pass go. Do not collect $200.
Yeah.
Don't do it.
So even as an anxious that is a self-aware anxious, marrying an anxious, there's still going to be some things to unwind, and you're going to have some kind of like ways to unwind that hypervigilance, overstimulation, like all of those things. And that's going to be a whole process.
Yeah. Even when I always say with my patients, I'm like, listen, even if you're with the right person, there's work. Relationships are choices that you need to make every single day when you get up. I didn't just marry Richard one day and set it and forget it. I wake up every day and I decide I'm married to Richard and I'm going to work on this relationship. That's just how it works. Every day. Every day.
Yeah. So attachment theory is huge, and it is one of those things that it will make or break you.
So going back to the nervous system, the nervous system, when it feels really excited, like those love chemicals, they're literally chemicals. They are oxytocin, dopamine, serotonin increases. All these are bonding neurotransmitters in the body that get us to be bonded to that person. They are also the same ones that you get when you're addicted to something.
Right.
Right? The body doesn't distinguish between the two. Typically, we'll see those hormones kind of settle out after about a year of being with somebody, is what the research says. So again, those same signals of kind of excitement and, oh, my heart is racing and, oh, I don't know what's going on. Those aren't bad, but they can also be misleading. They could be a warning sign that your body is in danger.
Like in the same way that maybe somebody that people sleep on this, but being addicted to gambling, right? Oh, I might lose everything. Like, and in a way,
but
people
what if I
can
gain everything?
Oh,
Right.
everybody likes this guy.
Yeah.
Like, this is the golden tuna, and I'm about to land him. It's like, yeah, you and 100 other women are trying to land this golden tuna right now.
Yeah.
And unfortunately, that can create a pattern where there's just kind of what I would say high status avoidance that end up with stringing along dozens, if not hundreds, sometimes even into the thousands over the course of a lifetime.
So when we're talking about what it feels like to be, say, an anxious on a date with or in a relationship with an avoidant type pattern, and how that can almost feel like an addiction and a roller coaster, and it's exciting and it's, you know, the lust is there and this and that. However, what does it feel like when you're on a date with somebody who has an attachment style that is more viable to a good relationship? What's that kind of pattern look like? Is it just boring and you feel nothing and you're not attracted to this person? Like,
I'll tell you, there's fundamental difference.
Okay.
Fundamental difference. And this can be like, oh, well,
I'm kind of leading you into this question because we've talked about this so much, but
I'm probably not, I don't know if I'm going to give you the answer that you're looking for, but what you'll find is, you know, you could be attracted to them, but you'll have a walk away power. Mm-hmm. It's like once you really, if you're an anxious that's always kind of had the carrot just dangled right in front of you. I know I'm going to upset the camera. No, if you're an anxious that is never quite, and even if you've even consummated this, whatever this relationship, you know, you are always going to be just never quite sure where you stand. And so as an anxious, kind of achieving whatever your relationship goal is with another anxious and receiving that unconditional acceptance of that person, you're immediately going to feel walkaway power. And that can be dangerous because you've never had walkaway power before. And you're like, oh, I've always been the one chasing the golden tuna. And now all of a sudden I caught this person. I've got them. They've kind of given themselves to me in whatever way. And so you're going to feel empowered. And then that's kind of like, oh, well, the game's over. You know, okay, well, I guess I won the game. And you can slip into a complacency, or you can slip into kind of a, well, now what are my options? And so I have seen this pattern before where an anxious will kind of date or be with another anxious, and then all of a sudden kind of like, okay, well, I guess I won the game, and then start thinking about other games, and then go and ruin their life trying to chase an avoidant that they will never get the approval of. And so you get this kind of like release and this relief from basically just constantly striving after an unwinnable game,
which you could mistake for
falling out of love
or
boredom.
Yep, you could do that.
Well, I would say just boring.
I would say when it's healthy and it's a good pairing, not all. I always say, hey, listen, give everyone 3 dates. Meet in
unless you realize that they're an avoidant.
Don't
keep dating an avoidant.
They only get 3 dates if you have established that they might be an anxious or a secure. Otherwise, if you right away are like red flag, avoidant, thank you and no.
Cut it off as soon as you can.
Cut it off even if you have the feels, even if you're like, oh wow, like I don't know, he's a pretty great person or she's a really awesome
ruin
person.
Your credit score.
Do not pass go. Hear me now. Just stop. The only way person, regardless of I don't know if I'm attracted to them. I don't know if I don't know. It doesn't understand. As long as you have established that they are not an avoidant, anxious person or secure person, give them 2 more dates. Allow them to come out, allow them to be who they're going to be, figure out if you're compatible at that point. Do you share the same values? Do you want the same things? Can you have intellectual conversations with this person if that matters to you? Whatever it is, do that, but do not continue to date an avoidant if you are one of the other attachment styles.
Yeah, here and there, a secure might be able to date somebody that's a little bit avoidant, but
They
a lot
might.
of people cope. A lot
A
of people
lot of
cope and
secures
lie.
won't deal with that kind of garbage.
Yeah,
So
hey, you
they
said
pretty
you would be
much-
here.
Hey, you said you'd be here. That was very disrespectful to me.
You
They
did-
have
you
very
flaked
good
out.
boundaries.
You flaked out, and now I hear you're texting other girls. Like, that's just not going to work for me.
Yeah, exactly.
So, yeah, like a secure probably wouldn't tolerate a lot of avoidant type behavior for very long.
So as we're talking about this, we're also talking about boundaries and bonding and how proper oxytocin signaling supports connection and trust.
Well, let's not shortchange. I think there's this way that we've just kind of, oh, well, these avoidance and this feels great and like whatever. I guess like in a way at first it can feel like that and basically kind of winning the game of attraction as an avoidant or as an anxious. If you've just like, well, I've never won before. I don't even know what to do with myself. And it can kind of create this existential crisis. But on the other side of that, now you could actually build an actual relationship that's going to work for you. Because
Or not. They might not be the right person. I think that's the emphasis I want to make is just because, for example, in this scenario that we're talking about, you could be an anxious, go on a date with another anxious. They're a good person. You give them a few dates and you're bored and like the attraction doesn't really build. I'm not saying stay in that and keep pushing
like forever or
forever.
whatever. Yeah.
It's like you still have to, at some point, I would consider it a slow build of attraction as opposed to this like really intense, hot, heavy thing that happens right out the gate would be a good signal.
And even slow might be over a couple weeks.
Yeah, over a couple weeks. Like, okay. That, you know what? That was interesting. I'd like to explore that further.
Yeah.
Should be more of the response of just like, oh my gosh, I can't believe this. That being said, I know plenty of Christian people who met their spouse and knew right away. I knew that too.
Well, we know pretty quick.
And we knew pretty quick too.
Yeah.
It took
Real.
maybe a couple dates.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
Couple.
But it wasn't like, I wasn't freaking out. I wasn't feeling like I was like, my heart was like, I was going to be like a predator was coming after me, or it felt really calm. It
Well, I
felt
didn't
really,
ever try to emotionally manipulate you.
yeah.
Well, I like you, but there's this other girl that I like.
You also didn't wait 6 days to text me back or
all the games and
all
stuff,
the games. Like he was like, I don't have my schedule in front of me. I want to see you again. This was at the end of our first date.
Yeah.
I will text you within 2 hours and give you some times. I'd love to see you again. And he did. And within 2 hours, he texted me and he was like, when can we see each other again? It was very adult. It was very calm. It was very like, well, hey, looky there. That's fun. A person treating a person like a decent human. This is lovely, right? He got a second date. Did I know he was the one on our first date? No, I did not. Did I find him physically attractive? Yes, I did. Did I find him intellectually interesting? Yes, I did. I didn't get a predator vibe. He got a second date. You know what I mean? And the rest is history. It's been awesome.
Yeah.
However, I'm just trying to kind of talk that through as a part
How it
of
would feel
boundary.
from
That was a healthy boundary. I would like to see you again. Do you want to see me again?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I do, actually. Can I text you in a few hours? Yeah, absolutely.
Functionally, though, what I was trying to do, I don't know if you know this, but my wife and I both came from a very anxious starting place. Mm-hmm. We've all been burned a lot. And even if we weren't, we were like that from our family of origin. And then you go out in the world as an anxious person, 18, 19, 20, through your college years trying to date and you don't really understand what's going on. And you're like, I thought this was supposed to work. I'm listening to whatever, all these kind of emo and punk rock CDs, and they're telling me this is how it's supposed to work, but it's just not.
Again,
It's like,
they make good love
I need to go
songs.
listen to country
Yes.
to understand this.
They make good love songs, but they do not make good relationships.
So why isn't this working? And so there's basically compounded like family of origin trauma, which there's a lot on both sides. And then also just the relationship trauma of just kind of getting turned loose into the world and not understanding attachment styles. And so for me, what I was doing there at the end of that first date was, number one, like, going on a date, like the stranger is like, oh, they're going to rip your heart out, or this is the love of your life. I have no idea. Like, I don't know what I'm going in for. Like, maybe I'm going to get kidnapped and they're going to get my kidneys, and so there's a lot. Oh, I got another, so there's a lot of unknowns. So number one, I had a good time on the date, and I didn't really have my schedule in front of me either, so I wasn't lying, but I also wanted to just buy myself a little bit of time just to kind of like, let's slow my nervous system down.
Yeah.
And so I used that as a way to like, I really want to see her. She had made like a, hey, you want to get out of here, let's go have a cup of tea. And I was just like, I don't know if I really need any more caffeine right now, because I'm like, it's kind of a new situation. I was a little bit amped up. And so I needed to buy some time, but I also didn't want to leave somebody hanging that was like, hey, let's get out of here. Mm-hmm. So my thing was, I appreciate that you gave me an olive branch, and I'm not going to leave you hanging if you're just like, hey man, let's get out of here. Let's have a cup of tea, or like, have a glass of wine and kind of just talk. And so I didn't want to leave her hanging, number one, but I just wanted to buy myself some time to calm my nervous system down. And so that's why I said what I said. I didn't really understand attachment theory as such, but by God's grace, that was kind of the perfect answer for one avoidant, or no, not an avoidant, for one anxious dealing with another anxious, where I'm just like, I don't know. I'm kind of nervous right now. It's a first date. I don't know what's going on. So I need a minute to calm my nervous system down, but I also don't want to turn somebody down if she went out on a limb and was like, hey man, let's get out of here. Maybe I like you. And so I was like, well, how do I make sure I don't let her die on the vine when she stepped out for me, but also give me a minute to catch up. And so in retrospect, I've never really thought of it that way, but it was really kind of the perfect answer to just like, hey, you know what? You're okay. And I appreciate that you stepped out on a limb for me. Maybe I need a second though.
Yeah.
And so that helped
We
her
had a
feel
very intense first date. It was good. I think.
Well, there is a lot to sort out. I don't know if we need to get into all
No,
that.
we're not going to
here,
get into that.
but
If you want, put it in the comments section. We'll talk about it another
but
time.
there is more there. So there was a
But it was a boundary, right? So when we are in a healthy relationship, that goes with any human, right? In a boss relationship, a friendship, children relationships, spouses, all that. We want proper boundaries. Boundaries aren't walls. Boundaries are semi-permeable membranes. For those nerdy
phospholipid bilayer.
Cells they selectively decide what comes in and what comes out in order for the cell to survive.
Yeah.
And we should be the same. We should decide, is this good? Not you have a pass for the rest of your life because you were good this one time. It's in every situation. Is this good for me? Is this not good for me? Now I'm like checking in with God. Hey, God, should I do this? Is this yes or is this no? Those are boundaries and they're healthy. And in relationships, we should have those. Mm-hmm. And that will actually bring about proper oxytocin signaling, which is that bonding hormone that's released between a baby and a mother when they give birth. It's when when they're breastfeeding, when they're snuggling with the kids. We can get it even when we're snuggling with our spouses, right?
Well, let's actually take a second to disambiguate, because there is a difference in human sexual response as far as like oxytocin. So what's the difference between how a man responds to sex hormonally and how a woman responds to sex?
Okay. Didn't we talk about this on the
think we did, but-
intimacy episode?
A little bit, but just to put another pin in it, and as it relates to kind of boundaries,
Women
bonding,
respond with relationship. We
with a lot
respond
more
with
oxytocin,
a lot more oxytocin.
whereas a man might not.
Yeah.
To sex, it's like, wow, that was
That was a fun burst of fun.
thanks.
Thanks.
Which, if you're a woman who's like flooded with the oxytocin and just like, this is great, like, come to me, and the guy's like, thanks, that was fun.
But now you got all these bonding hormones, and
That's
you're
gonna
just
be
like,
deeply hurtful.
you want to bond, you want to bond, you want to bond. There is an iniquity when it comes to
Inequality.
inequality.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Yeah. Which could lead to an inequity, but yeah. But so I think that's something important to acknowledge, is that could potentially set up this kind of anxious avoidant pattern where it's like, where a man could potentially not have any long-term emotional attachment after a sexual encounter, but the woman could have a very deep one.
Yeah. It's how it is. It's the truth.
And it's deeply unfair, but it's a reality. So boundaries, it's like if you are in that where it's like, hey, listen, I'm somebody I'm going to deeply bond, then you have to
be
make those
cautious with
decisions.
that.
Yeah.
It's difficult because in order to figure out sometimes if this person is going to be a good fit for you, you have to put out vulnerability and risk being hurt with that to see how they'll respond. And that's very difficult too. I'm going to risk being hurt. This is what I want. I'm going to maintain my integrity around this. I'm going to see how you respond. I could get my heart slammed, but I'd rather get it slammed at the beginning. And this is kind of what I got to when I met you. It was like, well, I'm going to show him who I am. I'm going to try to be as authentic as I can be. I'm going to trust him, and I'm going to see how he responds to that.
Yeah. I think that would also just make unfortunately, a sound logical argument for returning to traditional sexual boundaries, as in biblical view of sex as part of marriage.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that's gotten a really bad rap. And yet we're seeing people that are by and large very unhappy and very unfulfilled, kind of trying it the world's way.
Yeah.
So
we talked about when we were dating. Well, actually, you had mentioned this when we started dating about emotional IQ, which is also called EQ, emotional
Right.
IQ, and versus IQ, which is intelligence.
mm-hmm.
And what you were conveying to me when we were first dating was that you wanted to find somebody who had a really high EQ. Can you say more about EQ and just what that is and why that's important, especially when we're dealing with relationships?
So when we first met, I wasn't walking very close with God.
Mm-hmm.
I had still been, as kind of a devout Christian would call me, apostate at that point when we met. But regardless of what you would call me, I was kind of out in the world and kind of getting burned by a lot of these kind of dating patterns and things like that we've talked about. And so I was kind of just out in the world experiencing that. And I realized that there were just a lot of patterns that you would see out in the world and out in dating that were extremely destructive. So people that you would date that would, I don't know, just pick anything maladaptive or terrible, and you would see it. Like people that would unconsciously start lashing out at you because somehow you just trying to be yourself could point out something that this person that you're dating hasn't dealt with.
Yes.
Or me having a reasonable need would turn into this. Or it's like, there's one time a girl like wanted to go to a concert with me. Okay, sure, I'll go to the concert with you. Like, we go to the concert, and of course you go to a concert, there's a lot of pretty girls at a concert, and I got another, Then on the way home from the concert, she started an argument with me, and it was kind of a nasty argument. And I was just like, what is it? Where is this even coming from? And like that night I dropped her off and I was just like pacing around my apartment and I was just like, where is this even coming from? And I finally like put it together. It was just like, so she went with me to this concert that was the one that she'd wanted to go to. It was her thing, you know, it's her band that she liked and whatever. But then there was, you know, there's going to be a lot of girls that are kind of dressed in their whatever. They're trying to look hot. I wasn't in any way trying to go pick up on any of them or do anything that I would consider as unreasonable, but just the fact that there was that around led to this kind of insecure response from her that led her to start lashing out at me for like no reason. And so here I am having to do all this calculus at 11 or midnight the night after what was supposed to be kind of a fun thing to do, right? And so I realized, I was like, this person has no self-awareness that they're now just inventing a fight with me over, you know, there's a lot of other pretty girls in the world and maybe I just need a little reassurance.
Yeah. So if she had a higher, so it sounds like that was a good example to
Of
you.
a low EQ person.
Low EQ. So low emotional intelligence, meaning she had no awareness about why she was being triggered and she had a hard time asking for what she needed.
Well, and then later on that night, it was like, it's like midnight or something. And she sent me like screenshots of like, I'm texting my ex-boyfriend, deal with it, dude.
Wow.
I mean, it got ugly. And like, it got really ugly. And I was just like, so you invented this thing where I am judging you against all these other girls, which I wasn't. And like, whatever. And then as like kind of payback for my perceived whatever of this, you're just going to like launch the nukes. It just turned into this huge meltdown. And there were some other things like that I had dealt with where I had just seen just complete, like, just terrible, just emotional dysregulation and been on the receiving end of stuff like that. And I had started to realize I didn't have at this point, like the language of anxious or avoidant or whatever. And I was just like, I just kind of realized, I was like, I'm a guy that catches the feels. And so I knew that about myself. And so I was like, hey, I can't have any of this kind of, I didn't have the language for avoidant, but this kind of avoidant type stuff in women, can't have it. I can't have it, any hint of that. And I just know. And then also that low emotional intelligence, like taking vengeance and all of those like kind of destructive kind of like relationship patterns and things. I was just like, I can't have any of that. And so high emotional intelligence was one of those things that I was really looking for. And then also just an ethical standard.
Yeah.
In like the people that I was going to,
which is something
date.
that we ran into as well with morality, and where if you don't have a Judeo-Christian value system, like where are you getting these morals from?
Yeah.
And in the larger society, it's like we assume good is good, and even the definition of good is different depending on who you ask, right?
Yeah.
So if there's no baseline for what is true, then we're going into dating these people in the world who we think have the same moral code that we do, and how you would treat somebody. Like, for example, when I first started dating, it was the first or second person I dated after being divorced, and it was they ghosted me, and I didn't even know what ghosting was. It was, we had gone out on 10 different dates, and then they just literally, I disappeared off the face of the earth. No, the last text I got from this person was, I'll call you next Monday when I'm done hanging out with my kids. And then nothing. Like, gone. No texts, no messages. Like, did he die? Like, I had never experienced that before in my life. And it turns out that was a really common phenomena in the larger population. And this is just the moral code that everybody seems to have been okay with. And I was like, icky. This is so gross. It's so icky. How do I pull myself out of this? Right? So these were part of the hard lessons that I think I got put into because I wasn't walking with God, and because I wasn't fully in my moral code with God.
Yeah. And this is one of those unfortunate kind of things. Like there's a lot, and just as sure as a man that's whatever, straight white male alert coming in here, you get kind of the bumper stickers of, say, feminism or something, where it's like, all men are pigs and this and that, and like don't tie me down. And a lot of these relaxed moral codes of just kind of like, well, we were dating, so we had sex, and we were this, so we were that, or like, well, you know what, I'm just getting over a relationship, so we had sex, and these nebulous kind of boundaries of like, she became my girlfriend over text, and she stopped being my girlfriend when I stopped answering texts.
Yeah.
These types of nebulous boundaries tend to reward the worst type of humans, meaning that we are opening ourselves up, and we are opening up our bodies and giving ourselves essentially to people that haven't really earned anything. And so there's a strong argument to be made for just literally going back to just Judeo-Christian values and keeping sex within the confines of a marriage.
So let's be hopeful. Let's give some tools here. We're going to talk about discipline, the 4 parts of discipline. And this comes from M. Scott Peck's book. Actually,
love that.
Such a good book. And
is that People of a Lie or Road Less Traveled? I think that's from
Road Less Traveled.
He has a couple books. He was a very interesting, I think he's a psychiatrist.
He's a psychiatrist. Catholic? Is he Catholic?
He's in the Road Less Traveled. He was kind of a religious adjacent.
Okay.
And just kind of wrestling with it. By the time he got to People of the Lie, he was, I believe, Protestant Christian, but he might have been Catholic.
Yes.
But he goes through this process of becoming just kind of a secular psychiatrist out in the world and just wrestling with human good and evil. And these books that he wrote in the kind of through the 70s and 80s, I believe, became like his kind of journey to truth, goodness, and ultimately Jesus.
Yeah. Daniel Goleman wrote the book Emotional Intelligence. He explains people with high EQ are more effective and content in life. He adds that managing emotions like anger, anxiety, and depression are often as harmful as smoking, can prevent illness and improve overall well-being. One way that we can begin to develop EQ is through what the psychologist author M. Scott Peck calls discipline. Discipline, he defines, is made of 4 parts: delayed gratification, acceptance of responsibility, dedication to the truth, and balance. So you must learn to do these things. Here's a quote from M. Scott Peck's book, Road Less Traveled. Similarly, loving spouses must repeatedly confront each other if the marriage relationship is to promote the partner's spiritual growth. No marriage can be judged truly successful unless husbands and wives are each other's best critics. I define love thus: the will to extend oneself for the purpose of nurturing one's own or another's spiritual growth. When we love someone, our love becomes demonstrable or real only through our exertion, through the fact that for that someone or for yourself, we take an extra step or walk an extra mile. Love is not effortless. To the contrary, love is effortful, which we alluded from. And so the development of discipline is actually something that we've been aware of and we try to practice in multiple parts of our lives. And it's a way that we could approach dating in general, and then marriage and relationships. Delayed gratification, accept responsibility, a complete and utter dedication to the truth, balance.
So let's disambiguate. So that means to clarify a point. Acceptance of responsibility is not about fault. Meaning, if I loaned my car to someone and they got a DUI crash and ruined my car that I really enjoyed this car, let's say, it's the other person's fault because they went drunk driving in my car, but it's my responsibility because I at some point gave them the keys to that car. And in a way, acceptance of responsibility in our relationships and our emotional intelligence, it's saying, this person, they wrecked my car. Why did I ever give them the keys to my heart and my life?
Yeah.
So fault, it is that person's fault. Your ex-husband was unfaithful to you.
Yes.
It was his fault. He's the one that crashed the marriage. But at the same time, I think what you were saying in the last episode, your acceptance of responsibility is just like, why did I give somebody like that my keys? And that's the responsibility.
Yeah.
Where it's just like, why did I ever give this person the keys?
Yeah. Oh, there's so much there.
Sorry, I know that's that's a tough one. But and for myself too, that story I gave is just like, why are you giving this person the keys? Like, this is terrible.
Yeah.
Like, why would I let somebody like that close to me?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, emotional intelligence matters.
Totally. I love actually M. Scott Peck. He says mentally healthy people will suffer in the growth process. This is why depression and anxiety occur. He writes, quote, "It becomes abnormal or unhealthy only when something interferes with the giving up process of the old self not serving you any longer, with the result that the depression is prolonged and cannot be resolved by completion of the process."
Yeah.
So what that is saying is it's actually healthy to suffer.
Well, and to
And
experience
to
loss.
experience loss and to come back from that and then to create discipline around things. Like, it's uncomfortable.
Like you described that I experienced a very similar thing where I would argue that we both had to die to our old ways of dating and trying to find love.
The Bible says the death of your old man.
Yeah.
They call that old life,
Yeah.
like the old man.
Yeah. Yeah. And so as in human,
Yeah.
but there's this way that, and a lot of times they call becoming a Christian, following Christ, being born again, meaning like, I'm going to die to this old self. I'm going to die to that. And there is this proper kind of way that acceptance into the Christian faith would be a one-time event, but there's also a way that there's this continual death and renewal where it's like we're encouraged to be transformed by the renewing of our mind. And so the renewal means that old kind of dead way of being, you could find like 10 years into Christian life that it's just like, I've accepted Jesus into my heart. I've accepted Jesus into the way I like run my business. I have not accepted Jesus into the way I date.
Yeah. Or heal.
Or, I have not accepted Jesus into the way I was raised.
Right.
And so
Everything.
there's ways where I'm kind of keeping God out of these aspects of my life. And now there's still that unresolved pain. There's still that growth. And so that's the renewing of our minds.
This honestly could be an entire other episode, which is our last point here for today, which is the mind is more than a chemical process. Dr. Danny, why have you not talked about my neurotransmitter imbalances and the chemical need for certain medications to do that? I am not saying that there is not a time and place for those things. However, unless these other psychological concepts are integrated, unless your physical health is aligned, unless your spiritual house is in order, it's very difficult to heal from those things. They have to all be addressed. It's not just this one thing.
There's this way that if I am living a lifestyle that is emotionally bankrupting, meaning I'm giving away my energy to people that I'm dating that are not returning that energy. If I'm doing this, if I'm doing that, then I'm placating myself with the emptiness that I feel using, say, like alcohol or different substances, or even just spending and shopping and consumerism, I'm going to end up in a place that is bankrupting to my internal, emotional, and even my material resources. And to try and then balance that equation by taking in any kind of a substance whether it's a pharmaceutical, whether it's a street drug, whether it's another person, you're never going to get to this point of wholeness that's sustainable with that, because you're going to be basically robbing one resource to get this resource that you need.
Yes.
So now I need this drug to make myself feel good, but that's going to take your money. And then all of a sudden that's going to be an altar. And so the point isn't like, hey, listen, and God bless you. Like, there's all sorts of things going on. There are people that are on SSRIs or like, different types of medications, and maybe there's a place for that.
I don't villainize any of those things.
Yeah. What I am saying though is that if you're in one of these anxious avoidant relationship patterns and you're just kind of chasing people that are never going to love you, an SSRI is not going to heal that deep loneliness.
Yeah. Very true.
You'll just be kind of just a propped up, deeper, lonelier.
Yep. So true transformation is very holistic. It's physical, it's emotional, and spiritual. And God's design integrates attachment, discipline, emotional intelligence in an attempt to restore wholeness. And that's what we're about.
Right.
Romans 12:2. This is the Message translation, which I think you just quoted it because it's renew your mind, right? Don't become so well adjusted to your culture that you fit into it without even thinking. Instead, fix your attention on God. You'll be changed from the inside out. Readily recognize what He wants from you and quickly respond to it. Unlike the culture around you, always dragging you down to its level of immaturity, God brings the best out of you, develops well-formed maturity in you. By focusing on God and aligning our minds, hearts, and behaviors with His design, old trauma patterns can be released, emotional intelligence can be developed, and the nervous system can experience the freedom it was created for.
I guess when we're looking at this, when you were reading that Message translation, transforming yourself with the renewing of your mind and rejecting culture, I was just thinking of all of like the lowest common denominator kind of things as far as like culture. But unfortunately, if we're out in the world, this is what's guiding. Like, okay, let's get a blender and let's blend in. Let's throw in some Tinder. Do you remember Jersey Shore and Keeping Up with the Kardashians and some different Jerry Springer, and let's throw in like, all the kind of pop songs about infidelity and hookup culture, and let's throw all that kind of stuff in there. Let's sprinkle on the Instagram, the bougie Instagram $100,000 wedding.
Let's
blend
sprinkle
it all up.
in casual sex, one night stands, alcohol use, drugs, anything that's going to impair our judgment, but easy, but fun. It's fun. Let's do it. It's fun.
Yeah, kind of Burning Man. And
yeah, all
New
of
Age
it.
kind of spirituality in there.
All of it.
But then what do I want to, so that's what goes into the secret sauce. That's how the sausage is made. But what do I want to get out at the end? I want to get a lifelong filling love relationship with a woman or a man. You want to get that lifelong fulfilling relationship, but what we've put in is Jersey Shore, hookup culture, Tinder,
yes, all of it. And what do we expect to get out on the other side?
With drunken revenge hookups.
Okay, just describing that right there goes, wow, I need a savior. Somebody save me.
Yeah. So I was just thinking, like, what if you did get your values from the culture?
Yeah.
And I think this is why we see just this culture of decay, but also just these suffering people in despair.
Yes.
Suffering
So much
and
suffering.
despair. I would need, just living in that just makes me want to take Prozac. I mean, I don't want to in my daily life. I don't take any medications, but you just read that and you're like, who
wouldn't want to numb?
Who wouldn't want to drink that milkshake of pop culture and what pop culture tells you about relationships? And like somehow out of that, I'm going to get this beautiful wedding.
I know, it's insane. I mean, and we were just so part of that world. So
Yeah.
I have a lot of,
Yeah.
I have a lot of sadness, regret, and all of that. But I also have hope because with the surrender of that and actually asking for a savior, it has been so transformational for my life, for my health, for our marriage together, our relationship, our families. I can't speak higher of that.
Actually, let's I'm going to say one thing. There's members of the audience that have been in that in the past, and they feel like, you know what, I've just been so part, even if they've put that life behind them, they've been so part of this life that we've described that they feel like it's unredeemable. And let me just say one thing. It's just biblically that as far as the east is from the west, so far the Lord will remove you from your sin, and that God the Father will remember it no more.
Yeah.
And so what we have to do, part of the Christian life, is not like a kind of a Catholic guilt thing that a lot of people get stuck in. God bless our Catholic friends, but it's a phrase, Catholic guilt. But when I'm truly surrendered to Christ, that means I want the mind of Christ. And if I'm sitting here thinking in a way and like torturing myself with things that God the Father himself has put as far as the east and from the west, if God the Father does not remember this, why am I remembering it?
Yep.
And so when we renew our mind, to go back to that Romans quote, when we renew our mind, we are taking on that mind of Christ. And that mind of Christ, if God doesn't remember it, why do you remember it? If God forgave you, why don't you forgive you?
Yeah.
And so we need to walk in that victory. And, you know, here and there, if we need a slight correction to remember, hey, Rich, remember where you came from. It's a bad place. It's like, yes, coach. Yes, God.
That's
But
remembering his
also,
grace.
Yes. So
Yes.
it's like, I can't get in pride and act like I was always in this redeemed place. And so there's a time and a place, but if I'm walking in kind of this shame and judgment, then that is not what God wants for me. And that's not the mind of Christ.
Preach it.
So,
Good word. That was a good word.
yeah.
Well, thank you.
Emotions.
Emotion, chapter 11. Great. There's still a lot more in that chapter. Let me tell you, it's a good one.
Yeah. Attachment theory and the whole thing, it could almost be its own. I mean, it already is a book, but there could be other books written on that.
Yeah.
And just the mess that we see of dating in
Relationship,
our current era,
attachment.
relationships. Yeah.
Thank you. We'll see you on the next episode.
All right.
Bye.